chafina, chafinisha, ichichena chafina, chafina, ichichena chafina, chafinisha, ichichena chafina. Aya ifumu ya bebe, awe na ila lotu, ya mukula lotu. Muchiri mushawa mashani ala wamina wengi na pashipatarara iwe wamina wengi na pashipatarara Noma baby to binchi Wasala kusi aseo tunila Chakalipa wakulekela we mwine ututule wefu wengi watusha ichichena chafinisha wakulekela we mwine ututule wefu tule wefu wakulekela we mwine ichichena chafina wena chakulisha tutule wakulekela mwine tutule
umumwakwenda na umfwila kasemo abati umopalipwe anakila kumushini umwejilinga wenkondo halume ya chabo aponye mfuti yawe aya wenda mutende wenda wayimina tukesa umana
vengi baya ichichena chakalika wakulekela we mwine ututule wefu vengi watusha ichichena chafinisha wakulekela we mwine wakulekela we mwine ichichena chafina wena chakulisha tutule wakulekela we mwine chakalika wakulekela we mwine tutule wefu wengi watusha ichichena chafinisha wakulekela we mwine tutule wefu
and our dreams together. Rest well, Your Excellency. Your journey on earth As the sunlight breaks through the grief that blankets our nation, I bow my head in solemn reflection, not only as a former cabinet minister, but as one who walked, served, and leant under the steady and humble leadership of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. His passing is not just the loss of a former head of state. It is the silence of a heart that beat for the people. A heart that, though often misunderstood, remained anchored in service, compassion, and peace. President Lungu not only led with a loud declaration, but with quiet resolve. At a time when politics around the world grew bitter and divisive, he stood firm, not in arrogance, but in grace. He taught us that leadership is not about the spotlight, but about bearing the weight of a nation with dignity and restraint. He bore that weight for you, for me, for Zambia. I was privileged to serve under his administration. I watched firsthand his deep concern for the ordinary Zambian, the farmer in the field, the youth seeking opportunity, the mother building a home, marketeers, and all that needed his hand. He never merely chased leadership, but leadership chose him, as can be testified at his first election in 2015. An anointed son of the soil to bear burdens of the people. He did not fight for himself, he fought for Zambia. And now on this day, we do not mourn as a people without hope. We remember that a life poured out in service is never lost. It is planted. And from it grows courage, unity, and a renewed call for us all to live lives that matter. To the family, I offer my prayers. To the nation, I pray for unity, love, and peace to honor his legacy. Let us honor him, not just with words, but with action. Let us be leaders in our homes, in our communities, in our hearts. Let us choose peace. Let us choose unity. Let us carry Zambia and our dreams together. Rest well, Your Excellency. Your journey on earth is complete, but your legacy marches on. God bless Zambia as we mourn. Thank you.
More thing before I die. Can I do one more thing before I die? Can I say one last prayer for someone in need of love? Can I please sing one more song? Oh, just for one more song. Ichalo chatalala, ikumbi lya fita, imisowa na shumfwa, ifilamba vya lukuta, abantu balepitana, abengi baleipusha, ngama sanswaya, ngobo sansobu ubafuma kwi. Elo nasumina abasuma tabakokola, elo nashininkisha abasuma tabakokola. Sotwa suke Yesu, sotwa suke Yawe. Abana balila, abafyashi balila, Zambia twalila, onse twalila, so twasuke, so twasuke, tafirwapo, ena tafirwapo, adejukumu nefilamba, eto na mwishiba.
Wafila Watichiloto na ufati we mufyashuaya Welese chichatu ponena Chafina pawesu Yechi tukwanyishe twakabilo buchingo bobe Twakabilo kubana iwe Yesu Twakabile chikuku chobe Shafula Mona Amalanda ya fula Twabike subira muiwe Twachetekela iwe Risotwa suke Esa tafilwapo Ena tafilwapo Atula tafilwapo
Adeju kumunde filamba
Good day and welcome to today's update on the status of the remains of the late President Edgar Lungu, who died on Thursday, 5th June 2025. You are aware that up to now, government doesn't have the body or remains of the late President. The remains of the late president are not in Zambia. The first family led by the widow are still not yet in Zambia. Yesterday we had a wonderful opportunity in which the South Africans, the Zambians based in South Africa, hosted and honored the family of the late president with a requiem mass. This was well attended and it was officiated by Father Harrison Mulenga, a Catholic priest, a Zambian priest based in Pretoria. And he was supported and flanked by 7 other priests, 1 South African and 6 Zambians. It was a great honor for the family, and the family remains grateful and I've expressed gratitude to Father Harrison Mulenga, to the Zambia Association in South Africa, and to the Zambian community that came up, to the choir and everyone, for the honor that was granted to the former president in that wonderful church service. There were announcements that were made by family spokesperson, Honorable Makebi Zulu, at the end of the service, where he announced that the remains of President Lungu will not be coming to Zambia, and the family as scheduled for Wednesday, 11th June 2025. Today, the Secretary of Cabinet has also followed up with his a similar statement confirming that, as earlier announced by government, the remains of the president will not be in the country as of today, Wednesday, 11th, 2025. Now, today's broadcast is focused on what the issues are. What are the issues? Why isn't the body in Zambia? Why is the standoff still there? And in beginning that program, I just lamented. I asked, in our country, where are our fathers? Where are our elders in our country? We are suffering from such huge polarization that, for example, the seniors that should handle this funeral are highly politicized and, can't qualify to mediate in the crisis. For me, that's a sad state of affairs, but that's the current state of affairs in our country. Our country is so polarized that even the seniors and elders and leaders of our country are not even neutral. We are finding it hard to find anyone neutral. You propose this one on this side, they reject. They propose this one, the other ones reject. Our country needs healing. Our country needs healing. Theresa May, the British Prime Minister, when he decided to resign, there are fundamental words he said that struck me. That she said that struck me. She said, compromise is not a dirty word. If I say give and take, it's not a dirty word. Compromise is not a dirty word. But we have made compromise a dirty word. We all stick to our hard lines and refuse to compromise. This creates uncertainty. This creates standoff unnecessarily, and then negotiations keep on collapsing. I'll now delve in detail. Let's just listen to and honor our colleagues from Peace Preachers. They've been carrying this program from the time they did a draft song. So now they've done a full song. Let's just listen to it. Then I give the full update.
Ichi
sebo abati umopaliwe anakila kumushitu umwenyelinga wenkondo halume ya jalo aponye mfuti yawe aya wendo mutende wenda wayimikina tukesa umana
Bengi maya ichichena chakalika wakulekela we mwine utule wefu Bengi wotusha ichichena chafinisha wakulekela we mwine utule wefu Tule wefu Tule wefu wakulekela we mwine Ichichena chafina Wena chakulisha Tutule wakulekela we mwine Bengi maya Ichichena chakalika wakulekela we mwine Tule wefu Bengi wotusha Ichichena chafinisha wakulekela we mwine Tule wefu
When the former president left office on August 24th, 2021, he handed over power peacefully. There was a strong agitation by the party that we should petition that election. There was a case I gave on this program of, for example, Charles Panjembala, where he literally won that election. And the next morning, his results were not his results, belonged to the UPND MP. And there were similar reports across the country. So President Lungu was urged by the members of the Central Committee that he should appeal against that election. And as you heard him on my podcast, he said, I refused that request because I'd learned from the standoff that took place in 2016. I didn't want any life to be lost. Not that I didn't have a case. I didn't want any life to be lost. So I conceded and I stopped my political party that there'll be no petition. You remember the UPND proceeded to petition over 38 seats, but President Lungu refused to petition any seat, even a good seat like the one Charles Panje had. The man sought peace. All the time there was contention, he sought peace. He peacefully handed over that election to the witness of the three former presidents that were there, Rupia Banda, our dear president from Sierra Leone, and our dear brother Jakaya Kikwete from Tanzania. It didn't take long before the harassment began in the name of fighting corruption. Since then, President Edgar Lungu has never seen rest. He saw how his colleagues around him were harassed, locked up, detained. There were people like us, like me, beaten, tortured, my tooth up to now. I have not replaced my tooth. It's a souvenir, the one the police knocked off, taken and detained, and my family didn't know where I was. He has seen members of parliament lose seats, 7 of them. He saw that painful death of Kapapula from Mwense, who was just picked up and, killed. There's never been an investigation. There was a quick by-election, and Kapapula's seat in Mwense as council chairperson was replaced. In his personal life, he's seen the harassment. They've tried to break down his own gate while he's there at the residence where the former president is, who enjoys immunity, purporting that they wanted to conduct a search because they were pursuing his spouse, former First Lady Esther Lungu. He's seen the arrest of his children. And then he's is seeing the scandalization of his name. It doesn't matter what he says. His name has been ridiculed, scandalized every day continuously for the last 3 years. In 2022, he requested that he wanted to go for medical treatment. I hope I have a video of Amos Chanda announcing in 2015 that the president has suffered as a condition the last 30 years that required specialized treatment. I'll look out for that video, but it's on my page for those that are willing to see it, where Amos Chanda, who was presidential spokesperson in 2015, many will remember that it was 8th March on National Women's Day, and President Lungu was officiating at the stadium when he collapsed and was rushed to Minor Soko. And when Minor Soko treated him, they found that the issue was just to do with his, I think with his diabetes, but they discovered this underlying condition that he was treated 30 years ago. It requires specialized treatment, and that's what he's been doing since 2015. He has to find at least once in 6 months, once every year, to see the doctors about that condition. You can find it on my page. Amos Chanda explained thoroughly what the doctors had said, but maybe before the end of the program I will show it. In 2022, the president requested that I have this condition. I always see my doctors in South Africa. He was not granted. That condition is not fatal. It's not fatal. He's lived with it for the last 30 years. It's not fatal. However, it has risks. It's a precancerous situation. And also, it can bring other organ crisis. For example, if you're not taking solids food for a long time, it can affect other things. So the issue is on its management. In 2022, President Edgar Lungu requested that he be taken for his medical review, medical checkup, and that condition be looked at. Government refused. It was at now the height of the standoff between President Hakainde Hichilema and President Lungu. Remember, every time he wanted to jog, the police came, they stopped him. You saw the Inspector General issue a police statement that his jogging was political. When he went to church, they came and disrupted it. They said his praying was political, that he had intentions to come back. Whatever he did, they stopped him at every turn. He tried to go to Ndola for an interdenominational church service. He was stopped. The church was invaded and disrupted, and the pastor who had organized it arrested. This has been the catalogue of events since 2021. In January 2025, beginning this year, prior to that, I think in November, his doctors who usually see him expressed concern that they hadn't seen their patient for the last 2 years. So an arrangement was done that they should come and treat him from Zambia. The doctors traveled to Zambia. When they looked at him, they expressed concern, and then there are no facilities to treat his condition. They requested that, Mr. President, get yourself to South Africa as soon as possible. We published 2 letters earlier in 2023 where President Edgar Lungu had requested again to go for his medical treatment at his own cost, that would meet the cost of his security, the cost of his spouse, and the cost of his own treatment. It was denied. We demonstrated and we showed those letters, one signed by Deputy Secretary to Cabinet, Dr. Oliver Kalabo. So on 20th January, the doctors were calling after the festive period, and they said, Mr. President, we had said you come. So an arrangement was done. A strategy was formulated, similar to what we did when we went to Harare. Mr. President will not buy any tickets. We'll go to the airport. We are going to buy the tickets at the airport, so that we don't give them enough time. If you remember, in September 2020, that's how we traveled to Harare for the inauguration of President Mnangagwa. Even there were various attempts to stop him. Me and Fred Membe were even put aside. All our colleagues, Nakachinda, Lubinda, given Lubinda, Makebi Zulu, they went in. I couldn't, I was denied, and Fred Membe were denied. And the former president, they couldn't allow him. It was just at the last minute before the boarding could close. That's when they came and said, "Oh, authority has been granted. They verified your letters of invitation. You can go." So there has been denial. On January 20th, he was just trying his luck, looking at his own medical condition, looking at the concerns from his doctors. He himself is a fit man. You see him run. He runs far faster than us. He would run far faster than us. He would run 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, and all of us would be panting as if we are not young. But his doctors had said, "You need to come." So a strategy was crafted. Mr. President, turn up at the airport and we'll buy the tickets just at the last minute. And that's what happened. Before they could realize what had happened, the president was about to board. That is why airport authorities took the pressure on a young man who's an aviation security manager, Paul Kasonde, who they suspended and immediately fired, that you allowed the former president to travel without clearance. What clearance did they want to be given over the president? They had withdrawn all his benefits. They had withdrawn all his security. They had withdrawn all things associated with the former president. But when it came to travel, they remembered that was former president and they said he should tell us. Yet you had withdrawn all his benefits and you had said he's now a partisan a personality, and that he was no longer a matter of the state. You were not concerned about him. But when it came to travel, they would say, no, we need to know. He's a former president. When he needs medical treatment, he's not a former president. When he needs the safety of his own life, he's not a former president. When South Korea invited him for that special ceremony, they refused his trip. So you can imagine, and then the president goes to South Africa as a private person. He's renting very expensive accommodation. The hospitals have lived in South Africa. You cannot afford treatment in South Africa unless government is supporting you or you have very good insurance. It's very expensive. For 6 months, the state has not bothered to find out how President Lungu was living in South Africa. They have not bothered to find out who is paying the bills. And as you heard in his own interview, and as you heard the tribute by Dr. George Twa, he said clearly that the president was struggling. There are many days they woke up, they didn't know how they would live. They didn't know how these expenses would be met. And as you heard from Ambassador George Twala, he says, the Lord has always carried us through. Don't worry, he was speaking of hope. Don't worry, the Lord will carry us through. And through, sure, we've heard now that the president of South Africa did intervene at some stage. And the former president, Jacob Zuma, did intervene. Where was President Hakainde Hichilema all this time? Where was his government when a former president was struggling in South Africa? Now they are even raising foolish, sorry, I'm a diplomat, but I'll use this term, foolish stories that he raised money and they want to sneak it in the casket. Umuntu alifilo kulipila ama bills. Alishita mobilize ishwe ndalama. Wonkalu wa musango shani mwe. And they are using Koswe. Koswe is run from State House. I've always challenged that the reason the president can't close that page is because he's an administrator with his boys there. Whatever you see on Koswe is what you see in the mainstream media. So this process has not been helped by the current president. The last 3.5 years have been utter torture for the former president and his family. Did President Hakainde Hichilema had the right to investigate corruption? Of course he had. Public press is sacred. No one should steal from the treasury. But what President Lungu called for was due process, for more investigations. If you want to impound the vehicles we bought, Hakainde Hichilema, you had a vehicle for each constituency. Has anyone seized your vehicle? Has anyone asked how you bought that vehicle? President Lungu bought those vehicles. Some were registered in Daliso's name, some were registered in volunteers' names, but we had party vehicles across the country, just like Hakainde had. You want to seize my money, which was organized in case we have a runoff. You also have the same amount for a runoff. Did you avail the Zambians where your money came from for your campaign? Where your vehicles came from the campaign? I think that's what President Lungu was asking all the time. If you wish to investigate campaign funds, can it be across the board? 49 cars or 69 cars are registered for the party, are registered in Daliso's name. You want to scandalize that process. Your vehicles, where are they registered? In whose name are they registered? If we ask Ratsa, is there a vehicle registered in the name of UPND of all the vehicles you had in the 2021 elections? You registered these vehicles in pseudo names, in other people. The campaign process in our country is so murky. We don't have a disclosure mechanism. We don't have an election law on party funding. So you arrest Davis Mwila, you harass him for the money that was in the party account, yet no one has harassed you for the money you received. No one has harassed your Secretary General. That's what President Lungu was constantly asking. Can we be fair in the process? Yes, I held power. If you are saying I've stolen, demonstrate. Show a public audit. Say from A, money was stolen. It went to B and C. Prove it. You're an accountant or you worked for an audit firm. Don't just say these things you have are stolen and you grab them and you seize them. The concerns were genuine. The fight against corruption in our country is weaponized to scandalize and destroy political opponents. It's not fought to recover assets. It's used to scandalize our country. And those were the questions President Lungu was asking all the time. Can we be fair in this process? So when he dies on Thursday at 6 o'clock, to my knowledge, the family informed you through whoever. The family informed you, we've lost the president. He was doing very well. He had these engagements last week. He had this, but he had a medical procedure. He has died. 6 o'clock, 5th June. 9 o'clock, the country was silent. 10 o'clock, the country was, 12 o'clock, the country was silent. The rumors, you really can't sit on that. Even as the members, we are only supposed to announce after 1 year. But we failed to contain in the matter of social media. I handled the paramount chief who died. And as soon as I was receiving the body from Umbala, rumors were already, and it was already on social media. Yet the traditions are that we only announce after 1 year. Couldn't contain it. Here is a former president. He has died in a foreign land. So 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10. Nalelo Hakainde Hichilema tababikule mfoyo. Nalelo. When I became aware of it and the calls were incessant, I asked Makebe Zulu, who was in South Africa, Makebe, can you ask the family, I beg, that we do a formal announcement? You cannot have the announcement of the former president being done by Diamond TV and by Crown TV. Please, can we have a formal statement? And it took a lot of persuasion, and finally, a statement was issued by Chawama MP and Honorable Tasila Lungu, who's a daughter to the president. You saw that video flanked by the husband, Mr. Mwansa. President Hakainde Hichilema and his government were given adequate time to make the formal announcement. They have not done so to date. The following day, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mulambo Haimbe, traveled to South Africa with a delegation. Twilawe, I think they be Minister of Foreign Affairs. When the family meetings were held that day, Makebi Zulu on one side with family members and Mulambo Haimbe on the other side, it was tense because Mulambo Haimbe was reading the Riot Act. The president wants this body by tomorrow, at latest Sunday. Now Makebi no, he wants the body for what? Who is it to demand for the body? No, we have to start because we have this government has to declare National Day of Mourning and the period has to start. We can't begin that process without the body in there. That way, can we first discuss the issues? Tensions flew that day. Mulambo Haimbe and the family on the other side. So, he said, okay guys, maybe we are all too tensed up. Maybe all of us have suffered this loss and we are not handling our emotions well. Can we cancel this meeting? Postpone it to tomorrow. And they did postpone it to the following day on Saturday. And when they went on Saturday, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who was a delegation leader, says, my instructions are clear. The body has to be in Lusaka by tomorrow. We've made preparations. Flights have been made. We've bought tickets for all of you. Whoever wants to travel, we are ready. We are leaving tomorrow. So in our negotiations, we should make it very clear that we are leaving by tomorrow because the body has to be in Zambia. Now our family now itakuwa negotiation ya msangoyo. Itakuwa negotiation ya msangoyo. We have these concerns. Two, there's a fundamental issue where the Zambians in South Africa have asked for a church service. We are going to begin to make preparations, but I think the earliest we can consider leaving is Wednesday, 11th June 2025. Let's host Monday. Maybe there'll be issues of postmortem. We give it time Tuesday. Then we see how we can host the ceremony in South Africa. And Wednesday, all of us should come to Zambia. Okay. So I think when it was communicated to President Hakainde Hichilema, I don't know their side of the story, but I can tell from what I've gathered from our side of the story, was that the next we saw was on Monday. The Mulambo Haimbe was no longer in the picture. There was Secretary to Cabinet who arrived accompanied by two special envoys. Honorable Enoch Kavindele, who was our vice president between 2001 and 2002. He came as lead delegation. He was a leader of the delegation with Honorable Leslie Mbula, former Zambia's High Commissioner to South Africa. Earlier, he was Secretary to Cabinet. When they went into meeting, the first issue was the objection that the two seniors, Honorable Enoch Kavindele, even as late as last week, have been issuing strong and disparaging statements against the former president. And therefore, they couldn't come now as mediators. Leslie Mbula has issued very, very strong statements against the former president. So the family objected. They said, we can have a preliminary meeting with you to hear our demands, but excluding the two seniors because they are highly polarized, they are highly partisan. And the Secretary to Cabinet with the family, with other people other than the two seniors, went into a meeting. The conditions of the family were laid. I think from my understanding, the conditions are not difficult. Number one, they said, look, this man came as a private person. Will you allow us that we bring him back to Zambia as a private person? We recognize his former head of state for 7 years. We recognize that there's a role the state has to play. Or before that, in the Mulambe-Haimbe negotiations, there's something that was immediately breached, because remember, he was demanding for the body that was directed by the president, that the body should be in the country. One of the issues was, do not announce the beginning of the mourning period until the body arrives. I think that has been the tradition, to save on time. You remember, even for ministers, their day of national mourning, because it's a 1 day for ministers, it's done on the burial date because of uncertainties. But when you fix the burial date, you know that I think this is a suitable time. So similarly, the family had requested that government should consider that the day of national mourning kicks in the moment the body is in the country, probably 11th June 2025, Wednesday, 11th June 2025. In other countries I've lived in, South Africa, in fact, during the week, they allow the whites then wouldn't allow anyone to hold a funeral during the week. They do it on Saturday, and that has become a tradition in South Africa. Even when the whites were no longer ruling, during the week people do not have a funeral. You only bury over the weekend, just as a side issue. So that matter was immediately breached because the president made an announcement that he had declared a 7-day national mourning on Sunday, and the clock began to tick. That brought tension to the family because there were all these unresolved issues that they were dealing with that they are tabled to government. I think those concerns were brought to the Secretary to Cabinet and other concerns. For example, they had requested for 3 places that the body should be taken to Ndola, where he was born, and there's a church service by the community of churches in Ndola. That the body, there should be a service also in Petauke, where he originally comes from. And then the main service in Lusaka. That was one of the requests. The other request, like I've said, was that he should come as a private person. And the special envoys were not suitable. I think Honorable Secretary to Cabinet Patrick Kangwa is a very rational, reasonable man. He keeps his calm, he never loses his temper. He was a good envoy. But they've tabled demands to government. Some of these demands, like I'm saying, are not difficult at all. If they are resolved, even tomorrow, maybe the body can come. Remember what I said? Theresa May said, compromise is not a dirty word. Compromise is a way of life. We all give and take. You are taking. You need to compromise. The family has its own demands. Government must consider those family. And besides, in our country, there's even no law regulating all these issues. We discussed, for example, the Tanzanian law, which spells out, or here in our country, we're just using some regulations, some cabinet circular, which provides for 7 days of national mourning, which provides, we declared Embassy Park as a place for our former heads of states or heads of state to lie. We have not codified all this into law. It's not in our constitution. There's no law. There's a provision that regulates former president, but it's on their welfare when they are alive. The Former President's Benefits Act of 1993. That also just speaks about the welfare of the president, that is entitled to a holiday with his spouse once a year, that medical treatment, when he seeks it, even outside, it could be granted. Then it spells out his security and, the rations that he received from cabinet. That's the only law that somehow deals with former president. But there's nothing to do in the event that when they demise. There's no provisions like it is in other countries and like it is in Tanzania and others, or like here it is in the United States. There is a law that provides for us. For us, we are just relying on tradition and on how we have, using precedents from how we have dealt with the other presidents, Levi Mwanawasa, Frederick Chiluba, Michael Sata, Rupia Banda, and how we dealt with. So we are using the body of knowledge around there, but there is no law that specifically provides, or all of us can rely and say it is a law. There is no such thing. So I've seen the arguments from our colleagues, and I say constitution is a law. No, you should read the case of that was prosecuted by John Sangwa when one of the sons of President Kaunda wanted the body to lie at State Lodge. There is that case, go and read it. And the judge was very careful. He refused to grant an injunction and came and delivered the judgment a year later because he didn't want to grant an injunction. It was going to disrupt the process. For President Levi Mwanawasa, he had put it in his own will, which we all watched on TV, and he said, I want to lie at my farm in Palawana. Government disregarded that. That's lawless. We might say we want to honor them, but you don't honor them against their own wishes. If there is an obstinate family who say, can we stick to the law and to the wishes of my father or my uncle or my whoever it is, we may not have buried President Levi Mwanawasa at Embassy Park, because they could have said you are defiling his wish. It is in the will, and he's even put it in video. That was his tested will, and he wanted to lie elsewhere. We bulldozed ourselves without a law. But because when a good thing is done, it's very good, people ignore all these issues, but we act lawless sometimes. And this particular death of President Edgar Lungu has brought all this to the fore. One, can you imagine you send a former vice president, former secretary to cabinet, and they are rejected because they are very partisan and they've been issuing inflammatory statements? Ifunga twaeba ati abakachita officiate pali chichirilo niba Archbishop Alec Banda, no one else will be the celebrant. Na bakateka na government ya wherever takwakabe. That won't happen. That won't happen. Our country is divided. Our country needs healing. And I had hoped, and I'm still hopeful, that we should use this particular season during the sad death of President Edgar Lungu to reflect, all of us to reflect, see what we are doing wrong, and see how we can begin a journey to heal our country, to heal our families, to heal and, diffuse the political tensions, the de-escalation. I've seen the insults from the UPND. They just put salt in the injury. They are so insensitive, terribly insensitive. But that's not how you rule the country. I think the country has to come to a place where we should have seniors to step in and resolve these issues, where we should have elders that can walk in any house. They can walk in Hichilema's house. They can walk in in Edgar Lungu's home. That's how it should be. I want to see one person who walk in Nakachinda's home and walk into Batuke Menda's home, even invite them for tea to resolve our political conflicts. But no, Chile, Imamudi Uko, you are either for or against us. So if you are against us, our line of view is this: Batukeni. Begin, Batukeni. Now, wabadi uko chimochine. One day we'll break the country. If you look at how countries have failed, how state fails, how countries go to war, we are meeting 9 out of 10 of those conditions, and we are not safe. I'm inviting you to participate. The number is 0973078082. Participate. Let me hear your views. The standoff remains. Talks have been called off. We don't know when the remains of President Lungu are coming. Government remains obstinate on one side. They don't want to honor the conditions of the family. And the families, as I'm saying, the talks are off. Honorable Secretary to Cabinet is very hopeful that the engagement continues to be constructive. The engagement, he hopes that we can break the ice. I pray so. I pray so that can we resolve these matters. Ichilo Chaba, former president, an elaborate program must be known many days ahead, because the dignitaries, all those that wished him, the former president and the current president that wish to come, they have to make itinerary arrangements, advance parties. You have to buy tickets. You have to come book hotels. It has to be certain many days ahead. Techilo cha mwana na techilo cha muntu fie yawe chakwa former president. So how will it be done if by today, Wednesday, going into Thursday, we still have a standoff? How will it be done? I ask. Let's talk. Thank you. Kindly introduce yourself and tell us your contribution. Please be brief. It's a hot subject today. Let's allow as many views as possible.
Yes, thank you, sir. I remain Mr. X.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Mwamba, first thing first, I would like to appreciate your works you are doing. Thank you very much for your information. Please, you are our mentor. To me, I would like to have your personal number. I would like you, at least that knowledge, we don't want to waste it. We'd like to have it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Now, Mr. Mwamba, please. I'm listening to both of you, yourself and Mr. Tayali.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to tell Mr. Tayali, if you have that opportunity of speaking to him, tell him the culture, I know him with Bemba. Of our Bemba, we don't scandalize the dead. What he has done today is totally out of sense. What he's doing is bad.
Aho bane ngafweniko mulabeni tayali. Let's not discuss Tayali. If he has annoyed you, please leave Tayali out of this subject. I think we are discussing the president and their family negotiations between the state and the family, and they've broken down. And I'm trying to see, first of all, the state must appreciate that they have not treated President Lungu well in the last 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And in Africa, we don't scandalize the dead. In fact, we respect the dead. So, Filaresh Tatayadi, Ero Alandro, supporter by UPND, it should be those he's supporting. Namishwa mwana, nga aletuka ine, Ero Aleshintila Kuriba wish. Nishinana aletukana. Nishinuishi ule ntukate mwana.
Yes.
So the wisdom should come from President Hakainde Hichilema. If Tayali is using aletuka ba Edgar Lungu na ba PF na ifwe bonsa aletuka, ero ashintilile kulubalirwa ba Hakainde Hichilema, it is a duty of President Hakainde Hichilema to dissociate himself from there. Otherwise, he'll be accused of sending people like Tayali. Filafileshita Simon Mwewa, filafileshita Laura Meti. I think if you're child power kalamba. Tetumwana isa santobedi wabutukira munganda ngamwali waba fiashi. In fact, they'll be bringing that child to me. Bampera no bwembi ati mulopole.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So don't worry about Tayali. Let's discuss how we can build our country.
No, Mr. Mamba, I just want to encourage you. You are our mentor. For us who are following you, you have done a very good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you.
Congratulations and continue.
Thank you.
Do not delay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable Brebna Changala.
Yes.
I don't know if you know that I'm live.
Oh, no.
Okay. I thought you wanted to contribute because, you know, the nation listens to you. What will be your advice? You are live.
Oh.
I know I've ambushed you. What will be your advice to the country?
As at the moment.
Yes.
First and foremost, this is a very difficult time for the country.
Yeah.
This is very difficult time in terms of national unity. You see, Edgar Chagwa Lungu was our president and former president, who was hugely appreciated, especially by the ordinary Zambian. I call for unity. I call for tolerance. But most importantly, I ask the government to act real. In politics, perception is a fact.
Yeah.
The way Edgar Chagwa Lungu has been handled by this regime in the last 4 years is a matter in contention.
Yeah.
That's why you have seen that the entire sitting cabinet has gone mute, no comment.
Yeah.
The vice president of this country has gone mute, no comment. The Republican president, a fierce critic of ETL in retirement, has equally disappeared in thin air. It's because of the sensitivity of the moment that we are in. Any small mistake can give us a serious challenge in terms of our unity, in terms of the manner in which we relate to each other. So everybody must be very, very careful.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be exactly 7 days since Isiero died.
Yeah.
And this body is still in South Africa. Because there is a standoff.
Yeah.
The family are not happy in the manner this administration handled their relative. Israel was refused to leave the country on 3 occasions. And yet he had no court matter. He was a free citizen. He had the right to choose where to go. But due to the unknown, this administration, using the power of incumbents, went into Israel's rights and freedom.
Yeah.
The right of movement and the right to associate. Not only that, while in retirement, Israel was robbed of his own vehicle that made him president, the Patriotic Front.
Yeah.
It was conveniently removed from him by the state, and they cannot deny that. The state got the Patriotic Front from Israel and handed it over to a group or individuals who were in good books with the New Dawn administration. They went to the Registrar of Society, changed the office bearers with impunity. They facilitated a bogus convention. This is abuse of state power. And when Israel went for medication in South Africa, none of the government officials either visited him or indeed had the courtesy to call him to find out how he was doing and how he was coping up.
Yeah.
And as to whether he was facing any challenges while he was there. This is the animosity in the air. And this animosity is real.
Yeah.
That's why you find the New Dawn administration, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, find themselves in a checkmate. How to navigate around this checkmate? All of a sudden, they have started threats. Their members have started threats.
Yeah.
Don't say this. Those who are saying this after burial will arrest you, will come for you, because now they have been pushed against the wall. Isiero spirit lives on. Isiero has become more explosive in death than he was in life. He's a man who has a humble demeanor. He's a man who was accessible. He was a grassroots individual. He was a man of the people. And his strength to today, while he lies in a mortuary elsewhere, his strength lies in the people.
Yeah.
I appeal to Mr. Hakainde Hichilema to come out and face the people and explain as how we find ourselves here. But most importantly, I want to make one appeal which is touching me,
Yeah.
which has not worked because we lack wisdom. Mama Edgar Lungu is alone in South Africa. Do we agree?
Yeah.
This tension, which is between men and men, could have easily been diffused if we had even the slightest and minute of wisdom. If Madam Mutinta Hakainde had made a move to visit her at this difficult time in Johannesburg. I think we'll be talking about something else. If Madam Nelly Muti had moved out of parliament to fly into Joburg to go and mourn with this lady, we would be talking differently. If Madam Zalomis had left the ECZ to fly into Johannesburg to be with their fellow woman, we'll be talking about something else. If the chair lady of the NGOCC had flown into Johannesburg to go and console this woman who has lost her husband, and yet the entire women folk have abandoned her. If the women could rally behind the Esther Lungu, the men will come down. And today we'll be talking about something totally different. So my appeal is not too late. Is to our First Lady, Mutinta, leave President Hakainde Hichilema, fly into Joburg, and fly back with Esther into Zambia. You will see there will be a huge difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Brebna Changala. Is the most consistent voice in our country. He worked very strongly with President Hakainde Hichilema. He was offered a job, he refused. He said, if I'm given a job, Mr. President, you silence my voice. And he has remained so. While many people are cowed into silence because of the benefits they get from the president, he has remained resolute. He's proposing something very radical to the extent that the First Lady, current First Lady, must intervene, or other senior women in our country go and speak to Mama Esther Lungu. In all this, as a widow, I think she's the biggest stakeholder. She has lost the husband she's been with for many years. And I like how he characterizes all of us, that we are men. You know, men bring war, women bring peace. That's what we say in peace and security. The lines are open. Sorry, Brebna rarely calls, and he called, I think he wanted for something private, but I ambushed him just to seek his views, because of he's one of those neutral and compromised voices in our country. So you can contribute. The other caller was worried about the utterances from the UPND, because by now everyone knows that when the UPND or State House is pushing an agenda, but it's too embarrassing for the state, they unleash these voices they pay, and the voices then begin to parrot, but they give them the platform to parrot those voices. And in the end, everyone can see through that scheme. It no longer can work. So make your contributions. You can send a voice note. You can, let's see who's watching on my page and what their comments are. Okay, we have 300 comments already. Huge numbers. Thank you very much for all those watching. Let's see if there's something I can, Wazikta ile can line. People want to call. It just can't be coming as a missed call. I've so many missed calls already, but the line is not coming on. We should get another number. Yeah. Okay, many people are arguing on my page. I don't encourage to argue. Contribute. If there is anything that some of us follow, is that we have to have a rational debate. Let's not descend to insults. I think my page is known for that. So I can see a lot of people are arguing and calling each other names. Contribute. What's your view? What do you think we should do? Brebna has just provided good direction that probably the senior women in our country must step in this standoff. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening. This is Alinase Banda calling from Lusaka Garden House.
Mr. Alinase Banda, make your contribution.
Yeah, like you have said, that we need to see which way forward. We cannot be complaining of what happened in the past. Once the milk is built, it cannot be gathered. What should be done now? That's what we should be discussing. Which way forward? The family has advanced the request of government.
Yeah.
I think it's not too much. It's not too much to ask.
Yeah.
The government has done a lot to the family. It's the time for them that they can appease the family by accepting what they are requesting. Let them hold the church service in dollar. Let them hold the church service in Petauke. Let them hold the church service here. Let them bring the remains of the late president privately. He went privately. They didn't allow him to go. Let them appease the family. Let them accept that the family, they want to bring him privately. Let that be done. As you've said, today, this is Wednesday. Dignitaries must be preparing when to come to Zambia, as we are remaining with few days as they declared the mourning period. Let the government bow to the request of the family. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you. Okay. Let me hear as many views as possible. Do not relent. Please call. Please call that we see how we can resolve the issues in our country. Our country comes first. Our country is far bigger than Hakainde Ichilema, than Emmanuel Mwamba, than any of us. Our country comes first. If we begin to look at a larger picture, the demands of the family, like I personally, the demands I have seen are not difficult, are not insurmountable. I don't know what the trouble should be by the state not to honor these wishes. Even bamuntu ufwile. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Evening, Ambassador. I would prefer to be anonymous, but I'm calling you from Chilabombwe.
That is fine, my brother. Make your contributions quickly.
Well, Fiashi, we're at a very sensitive juncture in our nation, and it's quite worrisome, especially for us, the young ones, who are watching how politics are seemingly trying to divide our nation. The only thing I can say is that as much as politics is part of our society, and we cannot run away from that, we should never create a society that allows politics to override our shared humanity.
Yeah.
Because politicians, they come and they go. And the only way we are going to progress as a nation is when we call a spade, and we learn something from it. Truth be told, the current administration was hostile to the former head of state.
Yeah.
And the pains and the perils of the family are quite understood. However, our wish as young ones, especially some of us who are very much interested in politics, is that we look at the bigger goal, which is the nation.
Yeah.
Beyond the funeral of our president, Zambia still needs to exist. Beyond all the confusions and the stalemates we're having, we need to ensure that there will still be a nation called Zambia. Ambassador, I can assure you and I can tell you that the tension is palpable and the division is much. I'm speaking because I've interacted with a lot of people, and people are speaking with heightened emotions.
Yeah.
Those on the red camp and those on the green camp, there are emotions everywhere. But beyond all that, our prayer and our hope is that we navigate through this season with a lot of wisdom and leadership.
Yeah.
Because if this situation is not handled in a proper manner, it's setting a very bad precedent. And if we some of us who are interested in politics, we are getting scared because we are getting to learn that the political field in Zambia is ruthless, and it should not be so. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This gentleman has written that, no, why don't you just bury in South Africa and until the tensions go later? Well, there have been cases. I cited a case of Etienne Tshisekedi, who the family couldn't bury. He remained kept in a morgue in Brussels, Belgium, from 2017 until President, that was Etienne Tshisekedi, until Felix Tshisekedi, who's there now, came and now allowed his father to be buried. There have been presidents and leaders that have been buried elsewhere. Thomas Sankara was just recently, a full funeral was only recently held. Government then apologized to the widow, and a full place of honor was erected. Have we reached such a stage that the family should be considering such? In my view, let us all climb down from our high horse. If we have politicized this funeral, let's set aside our politics. Let us resolve these issues. What are the wishes of the family? What can be fulfilled? What is it that you can't fulfill? Not Mwayaba State House. You are hiding behind because we are State House. No, but if Ndalama, who hasn't traveled? When the plane lands, the state has a right to check the bags and the plane. They have a right to. They have a right to check everything. Those are international protocols. In fact, you remember the audit where Zambia National Airport Corporation failed because some of your ministers have been refusing to be searched. It scales down the standards and safety of our airport if people are not searched. So these pedestrian arguments and views coming from State House, I wonder what leadership we have. Sorry. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, Ambassador Mwamba.
I'm well, sir. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
My name is Anthony Mwepu. I'm calling you from Saudi Arabia.
Okay. Mr. Mwepu from Saudi Arabia. Yes, please make your contribution, sir.
For me, it's just a question, Ambassador. In the interest of peace and progress, if you had an opportunity to sit down with the president, what could you say to him? That is number one. Number two, if you had an opportunity to sit down with our mother, the widow, in Apen, what would you say to her? And lastly, if you had an opportunity to sit down with the Patriotic Front leadership, what would you say to them? Because all of us, we are confused. We don't know who to trust. We don't know who to listen to. We are just confused. When we listen to the government, they have their own language. The UPND, they have their own language. The PF, they have their own language. We are confused as a people. So, sir, those are my three questions, maybe at a personal level. How would you deal with those three questions? Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mwepu, Tony Mwepu from Saudi Arabia. On top of my mind, I'll answer that. Not I've thought about it. But if I met President Hakainde Hichilema, I would look him in his eye. Mr. President, how did you treat your friend, your predecessor, your elder brother who has just left you? What's your conscience telling you? In light of that, would you consider an apology, Mr. President? An apology is not a sense of weakness. Apologizing is not display of weakness. Two, I would ask him to be humble. Mr. President, you are alive. Your friends have lost. What can't you compromise? Because nothing can replace life. Nothing can replace life. To Mama Esther, I would commiserate with her. I would share her pain. A lot of people that watched our broadcast yesterday saw how pained she was. They saw how in deep grief she is. She mourned the entire service. You saw how broken she is. And she's asking that, can I bring my husband home? Can the people that we've been praying with the last 6 months hold the church service for him in Ndola? And she says, he comes from Petauke. The community in Petauke is asking if we can spare a day. And another matter is that the body should lie in state at the residence, because we know that the body lies at Maina Soko, at least for Dr. Kaunda. And she says, no, it should lie at my house. The state can come with their guard. They can guard it 24 hours, but it should lie in state at my house. When I look at those conditions, I think they are plausible. They are not impossible. I would go back to President Hakainde Hichilema. But President, what is difficult about these conditions? What is it that you are uncomfortable with? Being in Ndola, you think they'll politicize it just before a day. I would advise him, Mr. President, these matters will be behind us by Sunday. Bend back. Ule losha, taba mcheba kukanwa. Just bend back. If you're chivana pachidilo, kutiwae bati awe tamwashike mpaka mwana wabo uli America yese hewa le tusunga. You have to respect that. Until that son looks for money for a ticket, until he looks for flights that can get him to Zambia, probably 3-4 days. Yes, it will be at the cost of the family. Maybe you intended to hold the funeral for 3 days. It might be for 5 days, but the inconvenience is necessary. There are things like that. To the Patriotic Front, the Patriotic Front is a victim here. It's an injured party. You know, they've tried to steal the party. They've stolen seats from them. They've broken members. We have senior members of our party that are in prison, that are allowed by our laws in Zambia that they should be out, because our laws allow for appeals, and our laws allow for appeal and bail pending appeal. The pain of the PF at political level is similar to the pain of the First Lady. It's incomprehensible, it's incomparable. We can't compare. But the PF has suffered suffered the brunt of Hichilema's worst attack. It has been at the PF. He has either bought his members or destroyed his members. So even the PF as an institution is in pain. But I would call and ask them, what would Edgar Lungu do? All of us interacted with the former president. Every time he faced crisis, how did he resolve it? That would be my question to the PF. So let's take the answer. Thank you, Mr. Mwepu. You've also given me a moment of reflection, personally too. We are still getting your cause. We are discussing the way forward. There's currently a standoff between the state and the family. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Chamawa Mwambawesu. I'm calling you from Osaka.
But Chamamwa Womben, make your contributions, Bane.
So if we don't reason like men, we chagwa to come shika limit. Those things happen. And if we don't come to a compromise, and like we said, akateka n'abakwata makaya kwikala panchi n'olukolo bachita compromise win-win. They talk about these issues, they try to sort these issues out. Mwali ishibofo chava namulupwa mwali babantu abakwe batita bomfwana nombe echililo chilaleta abantu pamwe abashale omfwana bamwamba balambo okumfwana. If people can fail to come together, pachililo, pamalilo, because amalilo, ponka fina tradition yesu, an African tradition, ichililo, into which kalambasana, chachila no winga bamwamba. This is not something that you can actually be fighting over. This is something that you need to come together as one. Yes, and you can't take that away from people and disregard that. No, those are their problems. That's not our issue. No, these are people that we're talking about. People have feelings. People have lost. What needs to be done is he can do whatever he wants. He can send someone the demands that the family is making are not impossible. They're very simple demands. If you are feeling very simple, if you are quite that to have me up of each room, to have me up on to my ego to share no concept, to have me up, we can sit down as brothers, we can sit down as sisters and reason and talk about these issues. This is not a big issue. In the nature, Mandi Movember in Ainibam. Nganalipusana bakalamba nganalipusana no mfyala wandi mulukwa no lukwa lwagishi bati bali babita basoshanya uyicha kitike n'kino kuyikoma bali fo iri okuyikoma bayama babonga tabayishira imina pakati ngabali ikomene n'abantu balishiba ngakwabe chirilo bonse tulema na ulyawine pachirilo nangu tamule poshanya kulafika neshite yakwa bafyata kwe bantu tulelosha shitubike vintu vikunuma mune mwakola waikala shani chaba shani epafumana reconciliation bamwamboys ni pachirilo no, this is not what's going to happen in extension. Therefore, this is not a battle of pride. This is a battle of reconciliation. This is not a battle of egos. Bantu bali abantu ebatekele bwenfumu imfumu tayikala pachipune netakwaba abatira kweno winga tutekanye oyo bantu babali abantu abakutekele ekyo tewabo mfuile chinshinga bakwebo kubati kwena kana besa twafwenya cyo tulefwaya nichi tapali na shupile nangu mumushimali bafire balandati mumushimali beshiru ishiru lilyanga lya kwisano ne mfumu ilala ile baba kapaso kubati mulekeni kwamuno mushi mulekeni mwimwikata aya chitefwale chitakumfumu imfumu yalo lesha yaseka.
Vanena Tasha Sana, thank you Bachama, thank you for your wisdom, thank you very much.
Napashipatarara twakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu wengi wotusha ichichena cha finisha twakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu tutule wefumu twakulekela.
My dear brother, just hold on. Yeah, you can make your contributions.
Yes, Ambassador Mwamba, mulifia wena?
Yole salet sunga nibani abamkwai.
Mkwai ni Samuel.
Okay, yes, Samuel, make your contribution, my brother.
Yeah, I wanted to say, uyu muntu Mr. Hichilema, ni vote, there is the kuna nkane kulisha kulumezi. You want the body to go kuchipata? Ala lusa. That's the only thing. You want the body to go Copper Belt. Ena is looking at...
but if we're not politics...
he's looking at politics. That's the only thing about it. He's a transactional guy. He's now known. We know him in and out. He's a transactional guy. So he knows.
Umfweni Doc Basam. Papa petauke. Ukwafuma wa President Lungu. After Luangwa petauke. No kwa vela lumezi kulia kuchase fukulunda zishua.
I mean, it's Eastern Province.
I see.
It's Eastern Province, and there'll be a lot of people traveling, all from far-flung places. Vala, Isa, they'll come. I mean, as Brebna was saying, Lungu is now explosive in death. And I wouldn't be surprised that that's the end of Mr. Ichirema. I don't think he'll pass through this. If he does, it will be a runoff. And he won't pass a runoff. That's the only thing. That's where the impasse is there. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
I love your definition that he's a transactional guy. He looks at it's a transaction. There are no personal relations. Is what he can get out of it. End of transaction.
That's it.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, please go. Let's hear to as many voices as possible. We're discussing the impasse. There's been development. You heard a statement from Secretary to Cabinet that they've had negotiations. The first one were led by Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Those talks immediately broke down, I think, because the mandate of the minister seems to have just to come, pick the body and bring it to Lusaka alongside with the family. His mandate appeared very narrow. He assumed there would be no issues. So when he just showed interest in the body alone, the family were totally offended by that. Why do you want the body? For what? You're a president, why the body has to be in Lusaka by Sundays? Why per Sunday? Why do you want the body? So those talks broke down because they were centered around the repatriation and the deadline. Enter Secretary to Cabinet, who came with Honorable former Vice President Enoch Kavindele and Leslie Mbula. Those talks partly collapsed because of the two envoys. The two special envoys have been very hostile to President Edgar Lungu. They've been used bluntly, to support President Hakainde Hichilema on one side and attack his political opponents. So they were denied. However, there were talks that were held with the Secretary to Cabinet. But you should remember, Secretary to Cabinet is a mere secretary to Cabinet. He's a civil servant. He cannot do certain things. He probably reported to the President, and that's where we are. Just a minute, caller, just a minute. Let me just finish this last thought. This evening, I heard that the Forum of Former Presidents have stepped in. A few presidents, I think, from that group, Kikwete, Chisano, Thabo Mbeki, there are a lot of former presidents in that forum have stepped in, and I think they've been speaking to the various presidents, President Cyril Ramaphosa, President Hakainde Hichilema, and the family. So the impasse is still there. The purpose of this meeting, abakalamba balikwi Brebna Changala as a solution for Ayenva Namayon, probably even to be led by the First Lady to go and help resolve this standoff. Please hold on. My brother, sorry I had to hold you because I didn't want to lose you. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Bachanda Landeni, where are you calling us from? Endita, yo Landeni poyama.
Kwena ichichintu ifwena chituponya pamusawu. Bantu kwena mumone tachatara chikapo cha msango yuyo. Uche kwena teti bakwate kwe minsula baleteka. Wangu baloleshano ifine mudala ndokutira basa chitakwa apologize kuli kulupa lwinolo abayashibeso bakateka ba 60th president ba Lungu babwesha mufe umutima neminsula china mkwayishira bomba ero teyabo pekayo ina namwene kwati icha pindula fyonsefi chiriro chawamayo bana wakwi bantu pachiro chabana wakwi ngepo namwene dzifintu fyachinja muchire palichira chiriro batata ba chifumu banda bala ndiro kutira tawe kwena aba mayo baleri apa bayane mirandu ishingisana nomba telefo ayiko kutira mucharo mube ichibote no mutende ero kabiri nechitemu iko bakateka bayima baya para batawe kwena turoshe mu mutende ero kabiri tulete mwana na mumitima fo bambito atota twebere mwamu na Kristo awira muri bakateka and from that day inepo na refo kuti nomba mona ati chachine amashi ya sosomu to hamona po change ngepo bari mine para pene olo fimu ku mfisolo fie baya mono mu South Africa ukwa bulo kwishiba ne cyaro cyose kutira nabaya profete ifyo ngabari tumineko abantu kutira kambwene ni komuna ndikora kampempire ni profete ifyo ino chitakwaliba ibatira technology mkwai kuti watu mafia na video ko bara sekano kuseka iwe we munandi ukoli shari woi kafina fine to mwene kuli ba mwana wasa na basate ba mwana wasa bale keshe fyonse fyo bale chitako jimu ku big club no kupera irabeta mu kisumu kutira emergency instruction kuba bonje ba what endeshen twale nzata ku South Africa irabwera tata abo bagaseka no kusega iwe mambara iwe amuna no bayaseka ne tsaro cyashani chatala ngiye to mwini no batawo kanshi bakateka beso baeche means wewe kuma pachino chakwa na wakwi bari yumvira amashyubyana ndiro muriya so pariano bangefa chitike ngaiva ire ku South Africa olofe ku tumino munabo baraseka awo we upole boy ukese kuno boy tukese umva plan B yobe ukwete baraseka kufira fine you know cyane cyunga cyari umva bw'intebera kwena akateka bari umva amashyubyana ndire ko kwantuze pa kuchiro chabana wakwi that aside elio nomba kachakutira ati fyonse fyumukwaenga tapaliyo abantu echo basakamene chakutira ati ifi bale romba abantu bonse ba minister bale yo turoshe mumutende babe chitemwiko ngabarangira izali after fena wakwi apanya nabapanga fila beta mutsungu atama kirwa ene nomba ngakaria ali sura nako arana mwishiba ali bolimo ukuteka minzula mano batira timano ngawateka nechipyu imbwa yaya imbwa shilaya imbwa ya timbwa shilaya so kwena eto tungate mwako fete nefifine chako bati yo ba president bengire mu Zambia ba former presidents yo ba tsara shani ya mkwai apa kuichefya pye mkwai bakateka beso ba ichefye baranja nyino rupora wa barungu
Yo, Natasha. I saw a post that is being circulated very furiously by State House media that South Africa has indicated that if Zambia requested for the body, they will, formally that they'll repatriate the body. Let me just debunk that lie because I've seen it circulating and people are asking me. I'll answer this by this question. We had Zambia national team top striker Dennis Lotter. You will remember him. He died in 2014. He played in the national team, celebrated, he played in South Africa to many premier soccer leagues. And I think at the time of his death, he had played for Morocco Swallows. When he died, his father traveled to South Africa to come and pick the body. Now, there are things that people never tell you. Like, when we were dealing with the issue of our elder statesman, James Ndambo, he disclosed one day that I'm not even pursuing politics because I'm a South African national. So Dennis Lotter had changed his citizenship. He was South African. The father was broken when he was told, you can't take this national. He's South African. The father says, he's my son, Dennis Lotter. Everyone knows he was our national team player. And he was more broken, not from the death, but from the issue that he couldn't repatriate his son. South Africa is a highly lawful place. There was a former president of Haiti, Aristide, Bertrand Aristide, for those that follow history. He was settled in South Africa for many years. And there were attempts by the new government to try to repatriate him. South Africa refused and hosted him for many years. There was a case of Moses Katumbi, where his own government refused in Congo. The government of Joseph Kabila refused to give him a passport. He came to Zambia and came to South Africa. Between the two countries, they gave him travel documents. So do not fool yourself. South Africa Edgar Lungu is a friend of South Africa, and Zambia is a friend of South Africa. So unlawful things like that will not be done. What is primary at the stage? If the story they're circulating that South Africa has indicated, first South Africa would not even say that, I know, because President Cyril Ramaphosa visited President Lungu and President Jacob Zuma visited President Lungu. So that is just even not plausible. The wishes of the former president are very, very cardinal. And South Africa has been renowned to shelter people that are being persecuted from their own countries. It kept, when Riek Machar, vice president of South Sudan, ran when there was an outbreak and his colleague had sent soldiers to take his life, walked in the forest, found a plane, into Uganda and flew into South Africa. They facilitated him, gave him government house and gave him travel documents. South Africa is far civilized than the dirty, petty, narrow politics we are practicing in Zambia. And just how foolish can you be to attempt, because mwafiro kulanda na family, you want to use state-to-state power. Oh, wane, mano ya msango shani ayo. Mano ya msango shani, mwala pelelwa, mwala sevana. So, like I said, can we look at a larger picture of our country? Sorry, we keep on missing so many calls. I've just seen a message from Airtel that Airtel shut down in Zambia. I hope it's not because of this program. And that they are running an apology. I don't know whether they closed the network in Zambia. I have no idea, but I've just seen an apology from Airtel. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening.
I'm calling you from Osaka, Yamikan.
Okay, Mr. Yamikan, make your contributions.
So thank you for your program. It's
yes,
quite
sir.
Insightful, and I think my take on this, now things actually been turning around is as the issue of how to handle each other, especially how we should be able to add or actually use humanity in what we do. You can see that our former president, our ex-president, he had made several attempts actually to go to seek for medical attention, but some people actually decided to mock, and maybe we never knew exactly that how would handle. But look, just overall, I think in simple terms, I want to say that I think going forward, we should never take for granted the cries of, regardless of who you are. For example, if somebody talks about health issues that regards health, we should take it serious, and we should advance love. Not love just by speaking, say I love you, but it should be in action. And I feel that if that was done, wouldn't have been where we are right now. Because you see, where is his love? Where is his consensus? Where there's love, respect, consensus, and unity actually flow freely. You won't be able to run up and down to look for how are we going to pacify this situation. So I think they should go for reflection as a country and how best we can actually treat each other. Because we don't know when anything, something bad will actually happen. You may say, okay, for example, I insult you, Mr. Mwamba, for example, today, and I was like, no, I don't care. But you see, I don't know when the Lord will call you. So we shouldn't really make that. I wish I did something good to this person. So it's important that we should live and be practical in our core. When we call ourselves a Christian nation, we should be very practical and be able to apologize when we are not doing what is right. It's really been hard things for many Zambians to understand. And there is emotions. This one wants to defend his position. This one wants to say, okay. But eventually, I think we should learn something out of this so that we don't repeat these mistakes and whatever has happened. I think for me, this is what I look forward, especially for the leaders, young leaders, those who are aspiring for leadership. I think as we go for next year, I think that should be one of the things that we should look to. We should assess people based on their willing to actually use wisdom. Because I'm so convinced now that we need there's a commodity that is missing in our country, and that is wisdom. We need to apply wisdom, and I think that should also be one of the parameters we should be using next year as we go to election. To say, are we choosing somebody that is going to really have that discernment and of course wisdom to see that if I do this, what will be the implication and what not? Because you don't know what is ahead, but when you have an opportunity to make a decision or to do something, to act, you should be able to have someone or a councillor or whatever is an MP, a leader that should be able to show wisdom and discernment and also have the heart of people.
No, thank you, my brother. Thank you very much.
Who they are. I think for me, that's basically what I wanted to say over this. Let's put aside our political differences, especially at the time. I remember Mwanawasa. I was with Mwanawasa at that point when Sata was sick. Sata was the opposition leader, but when I was sick, he
responded.
If I don't take an action, I'll be blamed for whatever will happen here. And you see what love does, right? After Sata came back to Zambia, he realized that needed to say to reconcile with Mwanawasa, for example. And you see how everything just opened up. So I think we should learn something that if we act, especially when we act in the name of love, the rewards actually are beyond what you can imagine, because it just opens up, opportunity for unity, consensus, and all different things, good things actually pop up. Yeah.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Another sore point is this parade of the graveyard. They go to dig the graveyard. They even take a tour to the graveyard. Now, tamwaireko kuchipatala, but mwaya kumanda yako mwaya imba no kuimba, and you are still negotiating. How insensitive can you be? My dear brother, reduce the volume on your other device and introduce yourself and make your contributions.
Thank you. You can hear me, Emmanuel?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Please introduce yourself and tell us where you are calling us from.
Yeah, so my name is Jacob. I'm calling you from Lusaka.
Yes, Jacob.
Yeah, so what is surprising me is you guys have been in power for what, 15 years as PF, for 10 years, and you've had these programs before. You've had funerals when you were in power. I think President Edgar Lungu and his family, they know very well that when someone signs up to be president of the nation, they literally become the state's property. They become that he surrenders his life to the state. He's the state property. You've had presidents pass away, and I'm sure families of those presidents, they would have loved their funeral to be done in a different way, but the state stood their ground. Why are you not allowing this state to run this funeral like you have been late in the past to run funerals of the past presidents?
Okay,
so this is very, very disappointing if what PF is doing right now, because you guys were late to run funerals the way you wanted as a party in power. Because there's precedence of how funerals are done, and when a president dies,
Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones,
it's not even the family.
Mr. Jones, just listen, Mr. Jones.
When you choose to run for the presidency, you know what you are signing up for.
No, you have said that already. But listen, you've said that already.
No, the family wants this. The family
are you listening?
I don't think you're being. I think you're being hypocritical on that part. Because you know how the system works when it comes to the former commander-in-chief. Because if the government lets the family run, if the government lets the PF run the funeral, the embarrassment is going to be on the government of Zambia for not properly running the funeral. If something happens there in South Africa to that board, if something happens, that the embarrassment is coming to all of us as a nation, as a government, that we didn't manage the funeral of our former president properly. We can't let the family run the funeral of the former commander-in-chief. I think that is very unfair what you guys as Patriotic Front are doing to the government.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Jones, it's not up to the PF. It's not up to President Hakainde Hichilema. All of us are mere stakeholders. Primary interest is a family first. You can't ignore those wishes. You can't ignore their needs and their requests. You cannot do that. And you can't relegate the family and make the state above it. If Edgar Lungu was as you have prescribed, why didn't he have his benefits? Why did he have himself treated in South Africa? You want to honor him in death and not honor him in life? Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Ambassador Mwamba, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
This is Mwiza calling from Kafiwe.
Mr. Mwiza, make your contribution, sir.
Thank you very much. Me, what I can say, I think there is a lack of leadership from this government. Because, listen, the government needs to provide the leadership. The days of our beloved deceased President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, it has exploded on their face. Either we bury in South Africa or we come and bury here. It has got everything to do with them. So they should choose here. The only thing that the president, his current government can do is to accept that there is a mistake. You know, once you accept a problem,
it means you have sorted that 90% of it.
Correct.
Now the problem is that they want to bulldoze and say that they are the only one who can do things. You know, when somebody has lost a child, you listen from the family, and then the family give you guidance. Nabakushika, whether the mushika, warosha kuisa tuloshoku, if when time she to stefu, Afrika stambara to stefu, you just listen from them as a government, because the government is just a facilitator. But in this case, they want to provide the law of the captain. They want to dictate everything. It's really surprising. For me, it's surprising. They're supposed to do this. They're supposed to listen from the family. What do we do and things like that, and provide good leadership. But you can't put those during this. You cannot dictate at the funeral. No, we want to do this. We want the body by tomorrow. It's very shocking. It's very shocking. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mumba.
Good evening.
My name is.
Yes, sir.
Calling you from within Osaka. Yeah. So my contributions are. I think I've been following, the happenings of regarding the funeral of the late president. I personally feel very sad, at this particular time to actually be Zambian. And it's because I think we have leaders, both on the opposition and government. Lack of a better term, that I would say are selfish. I've been following your program, I think, the past 2-3 days. And I've been wondering, I think I've been a little bit of a critic of you to some extent. I've always, liked, I think, how you present issues, as a communication specialist. One young man said, you are like a mentor to some of us. You are measured in how you present the issues and things like that. And I think yesterday you actually posted something that I actually commented on and said, if it was someone else who had posted this, I would have let it pass. But it was because you posted something that was really political, that was not actually related. I thought it was not the best time to have posted such a post yesterday, where you posted the current Minister of Home Affairs in a political rally somewhere, talking about, President Edgar Lungu having gone. I thought that was not the best time to be able to put that across. And now coming to, the standoff that is currently going on between the family and the state. I feel, yes, the family is good and they are justified to be grieved because of what has been happening politically, politically motivated actions by the current government. However, I still have a feeling that, the family is also maybe being overtaken, by the selfishness of the leaders within the Patriotic Front. Ambassador Mwamba, I want to believe that, you have all this statecraft experience and you are a key stakeholder, a member of the opposition, the party that you speak for. One of the callers was asking you, what would you tell the PF in this moment? And you said you would call them and ask them, what would Edgar Lungu do? Sir, I ask you this question. You speak to these people every day. Have you had that opportunity to guide in that sense?
Yeah.
I feel we are being hypocritical, when we talk about, let's actualize the peace that we're talking about. And yet, somewhat, in the background, we are the ones who are fueling, what seems to be like a standoff. I think the family of the late president is not unreasonable. They are reasonable people, and they want the best, of the funeral for the former head of state. President Lungu was not a president only for the PF. President Lungu was a president for all Zambians. He was a president for a person like me who does not support the PF, probably a person like me who does not support any political, but who is apolitical. When the government, for example, declares the 7 days of mourning, yes, they may have not done it maybe correctly. Here is your party which comes out and says, we don't subscribe to that. We already declared our own. We want to do things in our own way. These are leaders. I heard you yesterday saying the government should be able to plead with the opposition. And I think I heard someone say, no, government cannot be able to plead. And the idea here is that the leaders in opposition now are actually leaders who were in government not long ago. These people understand how government processes run, and they are being deliberate about whatever they are doing.
My brother, can you kindly wind up? As you can see in the background, there's a queue. Hello, my brother.
I'm thinking,
my brother,
this is my opinion.
There's a queue of calls, as you can hear. Oh, I think he's not listening. Hello, my brother. Kindly wind up. Oh, thank you. Good evening. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Nyala.
Good evening, Mr. Mam.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Muntali, I'm calling from Kitwe.
Mr. Muntali, proceed with your contributions.
Anyway, I just wanted to comment on whatever is going on concerning our former president. Yeah, I don't like whatever is going on. I don't know who to blame, but I feel our president deserves better than what is going on. And I pray that there will be a solution to this problem. Like, the country is on standstill at the moment. Some of us who are neither PF or UPND, like, we are confused. We don't know what is next. Because it's like this one is pushing this way, the other one is also pushing this way. But I know President Lungu. I've always told people to say, if he was alive, he wouldn't allow the situation to be like this. People want to make a situation look, it's a bad situation. Whatever happened to President Lungu, I don't like it myself. Personally, I don't like it. But the way we're handling the situation again, it has even made the situation even worse than it was. I think, Mr. Mwamba, you and me, we know better that President Lungu was a man with a big heart. President Lungu could forgive anyone. In any situation he would find himself in.
Yeah. My brother, Mr. Muntali,
he forgave, but
Mr. Muntali, tulikumatero, kindly wind up.
Big heart.
Yeah, kindly wind up. Tulikumatero.
Whatever is going on, I don't know. I think you people, Mr. Mwamba, you know how to handle these things, especially when it comes to how to manage the former president. You've been a civil servant, I understand, and I know you know what is right.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. So let's take as many calls as possible. Thank you, Mr. Muntali, for that contribution. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is George calling from Austria.
Mr. George, please make your contribution.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment on the happenings regarding our former president.
Yes, thank you.
Edgar Chagwa Lungu. it's a very unfortunate situation as a nation that we're facing now. But this is the moment to come together, especially for the stakeholders. My appeal would be to the government of the Republic of Zambia, especially President Hichilema. I think especially to listen to the family. I heard the demands that you talked about. I think they are not all that difficult demands that the family is making. And in order also to give consolation to the family, I think granting those demands will be part of also healing to the family. Yeah. So I would ask especially the government to show some sign of humility and also signs of, being human, especially to the family at this difficult period. So that would be my take, especially I'm appealing to the president, the UPND government, especially to show that humility and humanity to the family by granting those demands. I think it will just, bar everything, and we move forward as a nation.
Yeah. Thank you very much, John from Austria. So thank you for those wise words. He's advising that I think there should be a give and take. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
It's me, Louis Kaunda, calling from East London, South Africa.
Yes, Mr. Louis Kaunda from East London, South Africa. Make your contributions.
Just want to use maybe my vernacular language.
Kambani Mbuya.
Kwena bangomba weso first chakubala. Then posha mwisho Yesu Kristo.
Mkwai.
Kwene contribution yandi yakweba abantu abengi abakwata eshuko ili yakwisa pamidia omulandu amalyashi yenu yonso kweyambira bantu abengi abatiranda ekishinga bantu kwamba mailo amakozi naleero nfa naleero abantu bakiri bayingira balisumina mu bufi bantu nga nabwererako kunuma challenge eri abashukwe bati bawerera mu politics murandu wa mibere imo ishari bwino mibere imo nga yali bwino amma politics nga tababamo aro mweba paramine omurandu wa vision ya Zambia n'ekipani n'abafyashi mweba ishibye fyo baba mwalistira ma sacrifice aya paramina ku muntu bakweba ati mumwafwe baeka nombwa walisangwa na mumafya ayakweba ati na imwe mikalire yenu yakano okubabwina nomba na ino nshita pono potufikire abantu abengi amenso tayala isuka bale bakiri bale konka ifishiri bishinka so na nguchiriro chenso ino fyo ndemona chiri kwati ni life yaba yashi balungu because emu bapitira omwingi mweba ishibani mwewe fya bufi ifyo tababa nifyo tabare ekitafya bakonkeresana pakati kamwe wabo then napachiriro chine abantu fyo baleranda ifiri mwe bashunguru ikechiriro norupo rw'abarungu tarukwetepo problem uri iyonse but barabantu abalepanga ama problem kwamba nakale barapiribuka baresa mukubika kwa cheba victim of the situation which means it's not good because imyewe shinginga chireshire fyengwa chirefiro kuipokolola chireitula kulilesa ifintu tafyenda bwino bantu bakateka nga bali na show mutima kuroresha pantanji kateka ufira kwata vision batontonkanya okweba tushirumbula mfwa muka toyumunandi pandamano watangirireko ifinde mukonka ngali fuire finshi uno nshinshinka kwatamo kamu paramike balingire baroresha pantanji na papere pachiriro balingire ba taking advantage batuma abantu wangu kuchiriro kunganda kuli balungu baya umfuwa physically nga balira nshanya n'ebiroseshe nga yalienda fe bwino nombata kwaba n'omona bene bachirirwa bali ekyushuwa tamuba butukire kwantira ngo umuntu nine bata mwaleso shanya balo akwate ekiriro walayingira mpukati kanga ndamulya tawalayingira mu nefe balakupokerera balayishibo kwebati kiriro kyamuleta tekibakutampi
Mkwai Mkwai wa Lewis Kaunda from East London. Thank you very much for those comments. Thank you very much for those comments. When I come back, we'll take the last 3 phone calls.
Ifumu ya bebe awe na ila lotu ya mukula lotu we muchiri mushawa mashani ala wa minaweki na pashipatalala iwe wa minaweki na pashipatalala Noma baby to binyichi Wasala kusi aseo tulila Adada mulale muchibote Bengi maya Ichichena chakalipa Wakulekela we mwine Ututule we fumu Bengi watusha Ichichena chafinisha Wakulekela we mwine Ututule we Wakulekela we mwine Ichichena chafina Wena chakulisha Tutule Wakulekela we mwine
Umumwakwenda na umfwila kasemo Amati umopalipwe Anakila kumushini Umojilinga wenkondo Halume ya jabo Aponye mfutika Aya Wenda mutende Wenda wayimikina Tukesa umana
Bengi maya Ichichena chakalika Wakulekela we mwine Ututule we fumu Bengi watusha Ichichena chafinisha Wakulekela we mwine Ututule we Tutule we Tutule we Wakulekela we mwine Ichichena chafina Wena chakulisha Tutule Wakulekela we mwine Bengi maya Ichichena chakalika Wakulekela we mwine Tutule we Bengi watusha Ichichena chafinisha Wakulekela we mwine Tutule we
As the sunlight breaks through the grief that blankets our nation, I bow my head in solemn reflection, not only as a former cabinet minister, but as one who walked, served, and leant under the steady and humble leadership of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. His passing is not just the loss of a former head of state. It is the silence of a heart that beat for the people. A heart that, though often misunderstood, remained anchored in service, compassion, and peace. President Lungu not only led with a loud declaration, but with quiet resolve. At a time when politics around the world grew bitter and divisive, he stood firm, not in arrogance, but in grace. He taught us that leadership is not about the spotlight, but about bearing the weight of a nation with dignity and restraint. He bore that weight for you, for me, for Zambia. I was privileged to serve under his administration. I watched firsthand his deep concern for the ordinary Zambian, the farmer in the field, the youth seeking opportunity, the mother building a home, marketeers, and all that needed his hand. He never merely chased leadership, but leadership chose him, as can be testified at his first election in 2015. An anointed son of the soil to bear burdens of the people. He did not fight for himself, he fought for Zambia. And now on this day, we do not mourn as a people without hope. We remember that a life poured out in service is never lost. It is planted. And from it grows courage, unity, and a renewed call for us all to live lives that matter. To the family, I offer my prayers. To the nation, I pray for unity, love, and peace to honor his legacy. Let us honor him, not just with words, but with action. Let us be leaders in our homes, in our communities, in our hearts. Let us choose peace. Let us choose unity. Let us carry Zambia and our dreams together. Rest well, Your Excellency. Your journey on earth is complete, but your legacy marches on. God bless Zambia as we mourn. Thank you.
More thing before I die. Can I do one more thing before I die? Can I say one last prayer for someone in need of love?
I have a caller online. Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Zambian citizen.
Just repeat. Sorry, you were on mute. Just repeat. What's your name and where you are calling us from?
Chichi, calling from the UK.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm a Zambian citizen. Yes.
Chichi, make your contribution.
Okay, thank you very much. Therefore, I feel kulanda kukwena ichile chitikata chiweme chituponene na chikulisha. Ero kabidi ukumona bakateka weso ofo twale bamona no mutima batulangire bali bamutima usuma sana. Abashakwete fya kulandalanda nolo bale bebe fintu fya bipe fya ko batina ngatule umfatule bano ko bati nsibalandeshi bali bamwa bakwe batina ngubanga bebe filishani. Te bantu balebwekesha mobu bipabubi bali abakwato babakweto mutima usuma sana. So kula mone fifile chitika kwena tachiwemi. Elo muku mona kwanzi ntina temu watu asambilila ukuta ngana tuamona mistake. We deal with the mistake. We shouldn't be people who should be quick to act on the reactions of people, because somebody now na cheneka bale mwebe fintu fya kumuchene nako elo nomba bale fwaya asende fye bwino ifita fiweme sinalombo kwe batawe twikatane fye no kuchita correct ama mistakes ayali popa kwe bati fintu fyende mutende bwino bakateka wesu balale muchibote pantu ichibote echo baikele na chena elo echo batulangire no kutulanga.
Thank you very much, Chichi from the United Kingdom. I'll take the last 3 calls, and I think you can watch this program. It's on my page. I apologize, it wasn't on any other pages, but it's on YouTube. You can catch it on YouTube. I've seen an apology from Airtel that their network has been down, and some of you could have been trying to call in or watch, and the service was interrupted. But for those that were using Wi-Fi or were abroad, you got the gist of our issues. Mweba Kalamba, Bamabo from Italy, the wise people from Italy, just make your contributions. I'm about to end the program.
Ambassador, first of all, I'm very grateful for calling back.
Thank you.
I don't know, just Katwishinga, as people, Zambians, we've also lost our African state, because Africanism, what is not even here, Ambassador, our traditions, I think across all our tribes, I think here we're the same. We take Infwa very seriously, let alone of a statesman. Nomba file chitika kunukudia ambassador. In Nepal, ukule mkushako here, they are light-hearted. I think it's a secretariat. I think I was thinking I'm very broken, but I found people are way more broken and devastated.
Did you travel? Are you in Zambia?
Yes, I'm in Zambia.
Oh,
I've been here. This is my second day, sir.
To our audience, Mr. Mabo is head of the Zambian community in Italy. And as soon as he heard that the president had passed on, he said, I'll travel to Lusaka. Thank you for that travel. Thank you very much for the commitment and sacrifice, Mr. Mabo.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Just I don't know that you can put them complaints, but it feels back home feels very, very gloomy. I was thinking maybe gonna touch down, in when we come back all the time we are happy. This time or feeling empty. I want to go to airport, Ambassador. I'm a cleaners, and all those security guards.
Yeah.
You can see the hopelessness in their eyes. So I say, is it because of FGTK? We don't even know where to start talking from, Then if you move in the streets, the people we know, will come, they are welcoming us, but it feels off. If I started thinking, because I was looking forward to the government to take leadership of everything that's happening, all these issues, especially the bigger news that we have, which is really devastating. But the more I look to the government, the more devastated I'm getting, And I don't regret coming here because I need to do this. But I was also ready for today, Ambassador. But
I can imagine.
We will look up to you now. We will look up to you and what you, the wise people of our nation, will decide. Because for now, I think we have broken Yonse culture, traditions and customs and ways of life. Complaint, because I think this is not African, this is not Zambian. I don't know what's happening to our nation, but whatever is happening is not good for us, posterity, and the future generations, Ambassador.
Thank you very much.
I don't have anything else to say. We will follow until back at better direction. We mourn, then at least
Thank you, Mr. Mabo, for traveling, and I'm so grateful for your travel. Thank you very much, and for your sacrifices. You really love our country and practice what you preach. Gwebantu Wakwalesa, I thank you for staying this late and for according me an opportunity. I think that we need a platform where we can air our views, where we can share information, where we can update one another and see where we're going. This country is far bigger than any of us. It's far bigger than Hakainde Hichilema. He's just president, and our people have trusted him during this period to head us and to be president of our country. And if he practices servant leadership, he ought to be more sensitive to the needs of our people. This is not a time to showcase who's powerful, to use the tools and violence of the state to attempt to bulldoze your way. No, this is a time to use those tools for peace, for unity. This is a time, in fact, leadership is tested in adversity. it's not tested when things are going well. The best time to know how good a sailor is when the sailor reaches stormy seas. Then you see if he's a good sailor. Are we being good sailors with the storm ahead of us? A recap. President Edgar Lungu, may his soul rest in eternal peace, died on Thursday last week, 5th June 2025. Government sent Honorable Mlambo Haimbe, Minister of Foreign Affairs. I think his mandate was very narrow, to just come and pick the body. The family said there were issues, there were concerns, and they wanted to understand the program. And they wanted their concerns to be part as attended to and to be included in the national program. There were stalemates, emotions. Honorable Haimbe left on Sunday. On Monday, we saw the Secretary to Cabinet come with two special envoys in Honorable Enoch Kavindele and Honorable Leslie Mbola. The two gentlemen immediately sparked a fresh controversy because they were not good envoys. They've been very hostile to the late president. They've issued inflammatory statements against him, his legacy, his leadership, and they've been very, very vocal. It's politics. I think the family felt that a far neutral envoy could have been brought. So Secretary to Cabinet, in the absence, in the interim, anchored the talks, and the family tabled their concerns to the president to government, through Secretary to Cabinet, like they had done with the Minister of Information, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Honorable Mlambo Haimbe. Where we are is that we held a church service yesterday, well undertaken. There were 7 Catholics that supported Father Harrison Mlenga, and the Zambian community located in South Africa supported that funeral. It was a wonderful one, beamed to the country. All of us watched it. Then came the announcement that the negotiations that were going on were not completed, and the remains of the president would not be repatriated to Zambia. As earlier announced both by the family and government, the remains of the late president should have been in our country. The talks have broken down. We are now understand, the forum of former presidents, where some former presidents who are still alive are present, have also expressed a lot of concern. Remember, they had issued their own statements of condolences to the First Lady and to the Republic of Zambia, and probably they were planning to come to the funeral. There's a letter you should read, penned by Uhuru Kenyatta, the president of Kenya. So emotional. He said, President Lungu was my friend. President Lungu was my friend. And in his case, the case was very unique because he had a lot of tension with his vice president, and they went politically different. But the president was a friend of both the president and the vice president. And Uhuru Kenyatta has penned a very wonderful letter that you should read, like that of Ambassador George, who served as Zambia's South African High Commissioner to Zambia between 2019 and 2023. He's also penned an emotional letter describing who President Lungu was, how President Lungu was, has given his reflection, especially in retirement, how a president can be better. I thought that was also one of the good letters. As we are speaking, the date for his interment is not certain. The date of the return of the president's remains is not certain as we are speaking. I hope that the leadership in President Hakainde Hichilema and the leadership on the family and all concerned will try to resolve this issue. The insults we've seen from the UPND this evening has taken away everything they've been building up. And the surrogates, when we say the UPND, we mean including their surrogates. So this is a time to be wise. What have been some of the family's demands? Like I've said, to my knowledge, there's nothing insurmountable. If the family is saying, look, he was born in Ndola, During the last 6 months, we've been praying with a community of church leaders in Ndola, and he wants to have a service in Ndola. Petauke, that's where he was born. We saw government transport some people from Petauke and display them at Belvedere and say that these are families of the president. I don't know. You know, in Africa, we are all related. You know, if you say, who are my relatives, you find 1,000 people will turn up. I think primary role of the family should be respected. Primary role of the widow should be respected. The other demand that they'll bring the body here and that the body may lay in state at the residence instead of being deposited at Maina Soko. And it should be guarded the entire time by the soldiers, by the state, whoever the state will assign to. They're not saying leave the body with us, then come and pick it up. They're saying apply the state protocols that you apply to all the time. Those are demands, and I don't think they are insurmountable. And there's a treacherous period we are coming from since 2021. The pain the family has gone through, the harm and humiliation the family has gone through, and they're broken that they've lost the president. He was planning to come at the month end. He was calling members of the opposition that he wants to meet the opposition leaders. Let's see how we can front one candidate in 2026. He said, I'm coming at the month end. It was not to be. Death robbed us of President Edgar Lungu. Until we have another update, probably tomorrow, we will see if it's necessary. But currently there is a standoff. And I'm appealing to the graces of President Hakainde Hichilema to show leadership, to demonstrate leadership. There are things that have happened that were good. We saw a group of cabinet ministers go to Belvedere to sign the book of condolences. That was good. Gilbert Liswaniso issued a good statement calling for his youths in the UPND to mourn with the PF, and was appealing even to the police not to stop those that are mourning in the district. I thought that was a wise statement. The Minister of Home Affairs, who is a minister of threats, issued a very good statement that as Jack Mwimbu, he had lost someone from the fraternity, a fellow lawyer. And he had lost someone who was Minister of Home Affairs, is currently Minister of Home Affairs, and he called for calm in the country. I thought that was a good statement. But all these have been washed away today. They've all been washed away by, again, people have gone back to their default settings, failing to resolve the matter that is here. Compromise should never be a dirty word. Compromise is actually a way of life. Compromise is what is required when you have deadlock to resolve the crisis. Abakalamba mchalo bali kwi. This is a lesson to our leaders. Never smumba. You are supposed to be a man of God. You are former vice president. You should be leading in these matters. But you can't, because your name is so destroyed, so polarized. Bino Kavindele, I think, is a good man. You know, sometimes he's issued some volatile, but essentially he's a good man, you know. But abakalamba bali kwi, abakalamba mchalo bali kwi. Brebna added the flavor. Banamayo, mwebakalamba banamayo, muri kwi. You saw how broken Mama Esther Lungu is. You saw how broken she is. Muri kwi, go and be with her. From the party, I know Professor Nkandlo has been with the family since that same day. She traveled with Honorable Sumaili Godfrida, Reverend Sumaili. They've been with the former First Lady. There are family members that have been also with the family. But what Brebna meant is that when there is a crisis like this, probably it will require another woman to come and break the impasse. As the men are showing hot-headedness, hot tempers, they're showing who has the powers and who doesn't have the powers. Maybe a lady could come and help break this. Brebna Changara proceeded to even propose the current First Lady to lead the delegation, maybe from NGOCC and others, to go and be with the former First Lady and see how this matter can be resolved. We have former presidents in the region that have also stepped in and have made calls. Just the other day, I was alluding to a thorough letter that was written by Obasanjo to President Edgar Lungu. The letter is not public, but I have had an opportunity to have sight of it, and, you know, there are things we can do to our country. Mwebantu wa Kwalesa, God bless you. God bless our country. God heal our land. God heal our land. God, can I look for that verse? Can I look for that verse? I love that verse because it's times like this that we should end with a verse like that. Just a minute, I want to end with that. Yeah, it's from 2 Chronicles 7 verse 14, where where our Lord promises to restore a nation's prosperity and well-being when his people repent and seek him. The healing is not limited to physical restoration. It also encompasses spiritual renewal and society harmony. Let me just read the actual verse. It's 2 Chronicles 7 verse 14. Just a minute. I'm using an e-copy of the Bible. I should have the Bible next to me. Phone. Yeah, where is it? Come on. Yeah, here it is, 2 Chronicles verse 7 verse 14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I'll forgive their sin and I'll heal their land. Our land needs healing. If my people, especially the Zambians that call on his name, who say they are Christian, who say they've surrendered that country to the lordship of Jesus Christ, who are called by his name, will humble themselves and pray and seek his face and turn from their wicked ways, then the Lord will hear from heaven and you forgive our sins and you will heal our land. God bless you. God bless our country. And shalom, shalom.
Chafinisha ichichena chafina ichichena chafinisha ichichena chafina aya ifumu ya bebe awena ila lotu aya mukula lotu we muchiri Napashipatarara, iwe wabinawe, napashipatarara. Noma boy bintu binyichi, mwasala kusi yaseo tulila. Adada mulale muchibote, bengi maya, ichichena chakalipa. Wakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu Wengi watusha ichichena chafinisha Wakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu Tutule wefumu Wakulekela we mwine ututule ichichena chafina Wena chakulisha Tutule
umumwakwenda na umfwila kasemo abati umopalikwe anakila kumushini umwejilinga wenkondo halume ya jabo aponye mfuti yawe aya kesa umana
Bengi maya ichichena chakalipa wakulekela we mwine utule wefu Bengi wotusha ichichena chafinisha wakulekela we mwine utule wefu Utule wefu Utule wefu wakulekela we mwine ichichena chafina wena chakulisha tutule wakulekela we mwine Bengi maya ichichena chakalipa wakulekela we mwine utule wefu Bengi wotusha ichichena chafinisha wakulekela we mwine utule wefu
Ichalo chatalala Ikumbiri afita Imiso wanashumfwa Ifilamba fyanukuta Abantu balepitana Abengi baleipusha Ngama sanswaya Ngobo sansobu Uwafoma kwi Elo nasumila Abasumata bagokola Elo nashinenkisha Abasumata bagokola Soto asuke Yesu Soto asuke Yawe Abana balila Abafyashi balila Zambia twalila Onse twalila Soto asuke Soto asuke Tafirwapo Ena tafirwapo Adejukumu nefilamba Ebyo namuhishiba Mugwiririre Yesu Mugwiririre Yesu Mwikatilile Yesu Aletukumu nefilamba miso we chalo chalila Wati chiloto na ufati we mufyashuaya Wele se chicha tuponena chafina pangwesu Techi tuponyishe twa kabilo uchingobo